Hey guys, Cam here from PhoneDog.com, and for years Apple was rumoured to be working on some kind of wearable piece of technology. But it wasn't until last year where we finally discovered what Apple had up its sleeve. It definitely wasn't the first to the smartwatch market, but is it the best? I've been wearing it for the past couple of weeks and it's about time I got around to reviewing it. If there's one thing that Apple got absolutely right, it's the focus on design and fashion. The company wants us to think of this thing as an evolution of the watch, not just another smartwatch. While other tech manufacturers and operating systems have focused on what the watch can do, more than thinking of fashion and changing styles, Apple has managed to kind of think of it all. There's a huge number of combinations possible with the Apple Watch. You can get a light aluminium, a shiny classy steel, or a gold in 38mm or 42mm cases. And each of those metals has at least two different colour options. What's more, there are a handful of different colour sports band, leather straps, metal link bracelets, or Milanese loops, and swapping them out is as easy as pressing a button on the case and sliding the strap out. The rubber sports band is light, flexible, and incredibly comfortable to wear, and the leather classic band I've been wearing most is soft and also very comfortable. Each Apple Watch essentially looks like the other. It's a squarish shaped case with rounded corners and edges, and as you'd expect from Apple, attention to detail is absolutely superb. Just taking the digital crown as an example, its reflective finish on the steel model and the precise grooves around the edge looks stunning. What's more, the smooth scrolling action coupled with the perfect response on screen is such a nice touch. And there's the way the screen curves towards the edges to give one seamless surface to the entire watch. It's impressive, even more so with the stainless model, which has this incredibly reflective nature. As I mentioned in the comparison between the sport and stainless models, there are different materials used in each one, but the chief difference for me is the material used on the display. While the aluminium sports watch uses Ion X glass, the stainless uses a sapphire crystal, and there has been a clear difference in quality in my own use. Within days, my sport had multiple light marks and scratches on the surface of the glass. They weren't obvious, but I could see them in the right light. The steel, after more than a week, has no mark whatsoever, not a single one. And while steel might scratch quite easily, it's also easy to repair using cheap metal polish. The stainless model is also heavier and has a reassuring weight that I immediately appreciated as soon as I picked it up. But then we get onto the functions and software and the performance, and it's here I feel Apple really needs to do the most work. For the most part, I like the software. I like the clear distinction between layers. The notifications drop down from the top, and access to useful glance cards is a swipe up from the bottom edge. You get to the home screen of apps by pressing in the digital crown from any app. Press it again to get back to your chosen watch face. Press and hold it and you get Siri. Think of it as your watch's home button. I also really like that I can scroll up and down lists and messages or zoom in and out of maps and photos by scrolling the digital crown on the side. The other button on the side gets you to your favourite contacts, a list controlled by the Apple Watch app on your iPhone. Press and hold the button and you can power off the watch or set it to power reserve. Of course, you can scroll up and down by swiping your finger across the touchscreen display as well, and for the most part it works well. The one part of the touchscreen I still can't get used to after 2 weeks is force touch. Somehow the touch sensors can tell how hard you're pressing the screen. This is the default way to find extra features within watch apps, clearing your notifications or getting to your available watch faces to customize them. The experience of using it is unnerving to me. My finger can sense that I'm not physically pressing anything in, and yet the content and software knows I'm pressing harder or softer. It's weird, and it's not intuitive by any means. My main frustrations, however, are aimed squarely at performance and software. Because all the apps are hosted on the phone, there are delays between launching them and seeing content on the screen, especially if the app needs to access data as well. For instance, loading the Dark Sky weather app to check weather quickly takes a few seconds to load the forecast. It's totally a first world problem, but in an age where smartphones deliver content and data almost instantaneously, it's more than a little irritating. Apple really needs to come up with a way to make this faster. Whether that's boosting the watch's internal components, storing native apps on the watch, or giving it its own access to data somehow, something has to change. At the very least, Apple needs to increase the number of functions it can undertake without needing to be tethered to an iPhone wirelessly. Right now, that list is very limited. My other frustration is the same as with most smartwatches: personalizing notifications. Although you can choose individual apps to silence or let ring, I'd like the ability to rather customize contacts to receive communications from only those I deem important. This could be close friends, family, or important work contacts, for instance. Regardless of how they're communicating with me, I'd like to get that notification, whether it's an email or an SMS, or a tweet. With the sound on, notifications coming through are generally irritating. But switch them off and you're alerted by a gentle vibration from the Taptic engine built into the watch. It's so much more subtle than the usual vibrator motor you find in other smartphones or watches, and infinitely less annoying. Perhaps the watch's most unique feature is the selection of intimate communication methods you can use between yourself and other Apple Watch owners. You can send tap patterns, draw sketches, or even send your heartbeat. It's a little weird, but equally cool despite being very limited due to the lack of other people with compatible watches. I also found the raise to activate performance to be outstanding. Lift my arm to read the watch and it activates the screen virtually 99% of the time. What's even better, it switches off immediately when I drop my arm again and I'm not looking. The heart sensor and sensors used for counting steps and activity are also very accurate. And if you have an Apple TV, you're going to love using your watch as a remote control. My kids are now convinced I have a magic watch. And as for battery life, I can comfortably get through 2 days of use with a full charge before I need to rest it in its box and attach it to the shiny magnetic charging disc. The Apple Watch is designed to be a companion to the iPhone, not a replacement. It's designed for short, quick glances and interactions. Anything that takes more than a few seconds then is pointless because I may as well just use my iPhone. But it's been an absolute time saver when it comes to replying quickly to text messages, especially from my wife, or setting timers and reminders using Siri. Then we get to the price. It's not cheap. Is it worth it? And for me, choosing the steel model over the sport one was an absolute no-brainer. Like I mentioned before, the durability of the sapphire glass alone has been worthwhile for me because I can't stand having scratches on my watch face. But could I advise someone else to spend hundreds on a device that still has a lot to improve on before it's a must-buy? Probably not. It needs to improve software and performance. In a lot of ways, this feels like a first-generation product, albeit a really, really ridiculously good-looking one. I've been Cam from PhoneDog. I'm at PhoneDog_Cam on Twitter. You can find me there, follow me, send me a tweet, ask me questions, give me suggestions, or you can use the comment section down below and I'll get involved as and when I can. I'll see you again soon. In a lot of ways, it feels like a first-generation product, albeit a really, really ridiculously good... Oh, for heaven's sake, Marco. Stop messaging me.